Coming up on the official Celtic FC podcast, Kasper Schmeichel reflects on his career with Celtic so far as he speaks about his decision to sign a new contract with the Celts.
To have that opportunity to represent a club like this that's the kind of thing that you have to just grab with both hands when that chance comes.
Hello and welcome to the official Celtic FC podcast. I'm Matthew Campbell and I'm joined by Celtic's *1, Kasper Schmeichel. Kasper, let's get straight into this. I mean, what a Wednesday for you. The new contract being announced in the early part of the day, and then at night that wonderful Champions League match at Celtic Park, which secured a place in the playoffs. Just, how are you feeling?
It doesn't get much better, does it? No, I feel good. Yeah, it was a perfect day in many ways. Yeah, mad game. I thought we were excellent first half. Second half they obviously changed and they couldn't be as open as they were first half. But we showed great resilience. We showed a great level of maturity, scoring 3 goals and having them disallowed, missing a penalty. All these things can quite easily derail you, but we kept going and obviously got a little bit of luck with the goal, but in terms of the actual build up to it, the pass from Rayo, all those things are things we'd been working on, so it all came together really nicely.
Yeah, and it was massively deserved. We were by far the better side on the night, but it's interesting you're talking about the moments of adversity, chopped off goals, the penalty miss, but also the chances, the limited chances that young boys of Bern had. I'm thinking specifically about the double save from yourself in the second half. The relief in the stadium when you pulled off those saves was tangible. You could sense it in the crowd. For yourself, when those 2 saves are complete and the danger's being dealt with, how does that feel as a goalkeeper to have made that sort of contribution?
No, well, there's no kind of feeling that it's been dealt with until the final whistle, because what one goal from them changed absolutely everything for us, and of course by not going 1 goal down, that keeps us in the game and keeps us active, and we're not chasing in that sense. We're still chasing a win, but we're not chasing a just a draw. So obviously it was an important time of the game, but I think, like you said, they didn't create a lot, and the reason they didn't create a lot was because our counter press was excellent. Our ball retention was really, really good, particularly in the first half. We were defending from the front, pressing high, winning the ball up high. Anything that they did have in terms of aerial threat, the 2 centre halves dealt with really nicely. We were nice and connected in midfield in terms of picking up second balls and not giving them any momentum, stopping crosses, all those things that you need, all those components that you just have to have a successful game. And listen, we talked about it in the dressing room. This is the Champions League. Doesn't matter, that they were bottom of the league, and for some reason we were favourites in the game. They were champions in their league just as well as we're champions in our league in countries that are population-wise similar sizes. So there's no reason really that we should have been that heavily favourite. So it was never going to be an easy game. And we talked a lot about making sure that whatever the outcome of the game, that we'd be able to kind of live with our performance, make sure that the performance level is right, and then that's when usually the result takes care of it.
Yeah, you're spot on, and obviously such a massive result. We'll come back to talking about the Champions League and what comes next, but just on the sort of contract extension, it looks from the outside, seeing yourself on the pitch and the way you interact with the support and so on, that you're loving life here at Celtic. So how easy a decision was it to decide, yeah, I'm going to stay here for another season?
It was probably the easiest contract extension I've ever signed in terms of, we had a conversation and it was done virtually within a day or two. I've loved my time here up to now, and everyone's been great with me. Been welcomed with open arms. Had some big footsteps to follow in terms of Joe, but in that sense, having followed Joe all those years that he was here, I knew what there was to live up to,
yeah.
And also if you do things right and you represent the club right, then you also get that back in bucket loads, and I feel that's been the case. Like I said, everyone's been so welcoming, so nice, so it's helped me settle in very easily. So the decision to stay was very, very easzy.
It's marvellous news, obviously, for everybody at the club that you're obviously going to be here for another season. But I'm curious if, was there a specific moment where you thought, yeah, this is the place I want to be, or is it just the overall sort of...
I think the overall stuff in terms of being in football for many, many years, you know of Celtic. Everyone knows about Celtic, and having played here for a different team of many, many years ago, the size of the club. So for me, I've always said you get to a certain point of your life and a certain point of your career where you understand that opportunities to play for clubs of this stature and this size, they don't come around very often. So to have that opportunity to represent a club like this that's the kind of thing that you have to just grab with both hands when that chance comes, and that it's definitely not something I take for granted. I understand the responsibility that it is to bear that shirt, and to walk amongst the legends of this club. It's a big honour, and it's something that I'm proud to play for the club. In terms of one moment, there's not one moment. I mean, there's lots of different moments. Obviously, I met the squad in America for the first time, but just seeing how many people turned up there was that just reaffirmed my belief of the size of the club. But also, just now, anytime I'm outside of football, if I'm abroad, particularly, the amount of people that are Celtic fans or follow Celtic that come up to you now, you realise that, wow, this is a massive club.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like you say, you sum it up perfectly. It's the supporter, they're everywhere. I've heard you speaking before, and I found that an interesting comment that you had made previously, that the pressure to win at Celtic is constant. At every single match, a draw isn't good enough. That's obviously a pressure that's been built up over years of success. It comes from obviously the staff, and also from the stands, from the support who demand that sort of success and the triumphs. As a player, though, do you just feel like that just lifts you another level, having that sort of responsibility on your shoulders? Yeah,
I think you can't play for a club like Celtic without loving that kind of pressure. And I said that the pressure of playing for Celtic is probably higher than most places I've experienced in my career, in the sense that you're not just only looking to win, because winning here is just part of the deal. You just have to win, but you also have to be as close to perfect as possible, and you have that striving for perfection every single time. And that's a massive challenge, because you're never going to be perfect, but you've got to try and aim to be as close as possible to that, and that's a big challenge for anybody. And yeah, I always like the saying that pressure is a privilege, and I think that with experience you learn that you've got to really relish and enjoy these experiences, and particularly nights like yesterday, they don't come around. They don't just come around very often. So if you can't enjoy them and enjoy the pressure of that, then you're at the wrong club.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I've noticed, obviously, having been at the games, you watch on TV, that your father attends the matches quite regularly. Whenever I hear him speaking about Celtic as well, it's always in glowing terms. So I'm assuming he must be absolutely delighted that your decision that you're going to spend another season here.
I think so. You'll have to ask him. Yeah, listen, we've obviously, as a family, football's been in our blood for decades now. So it just goes to show, though, that regardless of what leagues you've played in or where you are from in the world, you know what Celtic is about. Yeah. And yeah, I think any player that's played here will attest the fact that it is a special place to play.
I know that obviously for players it's all about, you know, what comes next, the next game, and the importance of winning, as you've sort of touched on with Celtic. But do you ever take a moment and sit and look back over your career so far? Because I was just thinking, you know, that journey from, for example, you know, as a young keeper on loan at Falkirk, say, to, you know, still all these years later to be involved in nights like that. It must be a brilliant feeling that this, you know, this train keeps on moving for you. It keeps moving forward, and you're still playing at the highest level. Yeah,
well, I think the only way that happens is by not looking back. And it is very cliched and it is very boring. But the reason it is cliche is because it is true that it is next game. The second you start focusing on further than that, that's when you lose focus on what's right in front of you. And at this level, and particularly Champions League level, if you just remove 1% of focus, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
You know, and we said it in the dressing room yesterday before the game. This is the Champions League. Any player on that pitch has the capability to do something brilliant. You know, any player on that pitch has the capability to hurt you. So take nothing for granted. And I think, looking back, something that you do when you retire one day, and that's part of the journey. It's part of what's made me. It's not something that I forget, but it's not like I'm sitting reminiscing about, this was back in those days. Because the only way to stay in the game is to have that progressive mindset and keep learning every single day. You're trying to find new ways. You're trying to learn. I think the second you stop trying to be in that growth mindset, that's probably when the time is up. Yeah, no, it's an interesting sort of take on it, and one that I'm sure makes a lot of sense in terms of just that constant thrive to succeed. I was speaking to Callum McGregor earlier in the week, and we were talking a wee bit about yourself, and he was mentioning, you know, you as a leader. Callum's obviously got the role as captain, which he fulfills wonderfully, but he was mentioning yourself as being another leader, another big voice, another person who speaks a lot on the pitch. That must feel good, first of all, to hear, you know, your teammates talking about you like that. But is that also something that just has come naturally to you through your career? No, it's not. Well, I think there's natural leadership for sure, but it's also something that has to develop. You have to, you know, I've worked with leadership coaches through my career, still do, in terms of how do you lead best. And you know, for me, football has changed so much during my career. And like when I started, it was the big, tough, shouty type of captains. Now it's the more quiet leaders. You know, that there's so many different ways to lead. I believe very much in servant leadership. You know, that you're there to serve the team. You know, and there's no better example than Cal in that. You know, and my role, my job, is to reinforce his message, the gaffer's message. You know, and to be available, to be open to anybody who needs me or wants to hear of my experience. And I think it's our job as older players. I'm obviously a lot older than Cal, but he's experienced so many things, and I've experienced so many things, to kind of combine all that experience in a way that's going to be conducive to getting results for the club. Making sure that we, like I say, we're always available for anything that anyone kind of needs. You know, and Cal is a massively impressive guy, an incredible captain, incredible ambassador for the club, highly intelligent man, both off the pitch but also football wise. Very, very good at delivering his message. Good communicator. Tactically very well aware, and I think him and Brendan, they complement each other really well in terms of the gaffer getting his message out, and Cal reinforcing that and bringing it to life on the pitch.
No, really, really nice words, obviously, on Callum. I think he'd mentioned, the fact that the boys seem to bounce off of each other around about, the dressing room and on the pitch. You can see that, obviously, as a supporter watching it, the success that we've had so far. Another man who you'll be working with, I was curious to ask you about, because he's been at Celtic for so long, is Stevie Woods, the goalkeeping coach. He's been here for years, for some brilliant names in between the sticks. What's he like to work with for you, having had such a sort of long and illustrious career?
Yeah, listen, I've been incredibly lucky through my career to work with some very, very good goalie coaches, and for me, that's the most important person in the building to me. That's my direct point of contact. That's the guy I need to understand me, and I need to understand him. And I think for me at this stage of my career, I couldn't have dreamt of a better coach. He has an incredible way of teaching. He has an incredible way of motivating and understanding for the fact that every goalkeeper in the group is different and needs different things at different times. I'm not going to be able to, or I don't need the same stuff as maybe Vil or Scott for that matter. So to individualise that is a difficult job, but he does it brilliantly. In terms of, like I said before, you've got to be in that growth mindset. That's exactly where he is. So we kind of bounce off each other on that, in sense that when we are analysing games and doing debriefs, very technical, very in depth. He's a guy who understands goalkeeping like properly. Yeah. And I think our ideals and our kind of idea of what a goalkeeper should be doing, they align very well. So he's incredibly good at breaking down the different components, different elements of goalkeeping, and explaining them really well. So yeah, like I say, I've been really lucky through my career to have had some incredible goalie coaches, and I think at stages of your career, different goalie coaches probably suit different stages. For the stage I'm at, I couldn't have asked for anyone better. Yeah, and it's a relationship another relationship which is massively benefiting the team just now. Already this season, you've got a winners' medal. We've got the first piece of silverware in the form of the League Cup. Well, first of all, before we even talk about what comes next, that day must have just been, sensational to experience winning a trophy with Celtic and that wonderful atmosphere in the Celtic end at Hampden. It was, when you haven't grown up in a club like Celtic, winning isn't just normal, So for me, I relish those opportunities because they have been few and far between. In a long career, there's not many finals you get to, and even fewer that you win. So to get to a final and to have the outcome that we did, and to experience that I sat and saw on TV the year before, to be a part of that, to be able to share that with my kids, and to give them that experience, that was huge. And it's one of those things that I'll never ever take winning for granted. It's never guaranteed. Like I say, if you've grown up at Celtic, you're used to winning, but not all of us have grown up used to winning. So those moments are extra special.
Does it just sort of? I mean, I know that you wouldn't need any extra motivation anyway, but just having had that, taste of it, just there in December, does that just kind of drive you forward and think, I want this again, I want to win more trophies here? Yeah,
well, not just that. I think any time, if you're lucky enough in your career to be in a team that wins a trophy, that feeling is it's so special. It's very difficult to rival that. So you want it again. And one of the big reasons of coming to Celtic was to win trophies, to have those moments, to share those moments with your teammates, with the fans, with your family, getting everyone together and having those kind of times. that's the type of thing I think that one day when I retire, those are the moments that you'll look back on.
Yeah, of course, and of course, hopefully, before the end of the season, there'll be more opportunities for that.
Hopefully,
and of course, into next season as well, because you'll still, of course, be here. You must be excited to see who we draw in the playoffs for the last 16 in the Champions League. I think everybody's sort of desperate to know who it could possibly be or who will.
Do you know what? Honestly, I know it might sound weird. I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah.
For me now, it's about trying to beat Villa.
Yeah.
If we can do that, and put ourselves in an even better position, then that's what we got to go for, and then see where it takes us. I think that's the job of a footballer, is to think in those terms, and the job of the fans is to dream and to have all these hopes and aspirations of who we could draw. That's not our job. Our job is to focus now on Saturday, because Saturday is the most important game right now.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today, and like I say, congratulations on the contract extension and on getting through in the Champions League.
Thank you very much.